Yeah, bridging the gap. Nyomi Banks, the goddess. Tune in. Hey yo, Black, where we at? Elements. Got a problem? What's the issue? Ask Nyomi for advice, she will bless you. Is it sex, love, or relationships? If your spirits are down, you can get a daily uplift. Just listen every word that she speaks. Setting trends with hashtags for every day of the week. Hashtag motivational Mondays, testimonial Tuesdays. I've been listening for the last 2 days. Wet Willie or Wisdom Wednesdays. Either way, the conversation gon' be lengthy. It's not hearsay. This is her way. You know she'll keep you thirst trapping on a Thursday. 4 days down, I'll talk about the number 5 day. Never coy, she always keeps it freaky on Fridays. Spiritual on Saturdays with sessions in the morning. Still uplifting and inspiring you all in. Being the goddess that she is, she keeps you all in. Formed on soul searching Sundays, just call in. If you misinformed, come get the facts. Fortunate for you, she's looking to bridge the gap. Yes, she was a porn star, but she's more than that. She's a certified specialist teaching us how to act. By the end of the show, we'll agree to disagree, but be good to each other and ourselves and keep it sexy. Yeah. Tune in every week to Ask Nyomi. Bridging the gap with Nyomi Banks and Dog Pound Mike. Don't miss it. Tune in.
All right. Hey, it's your girl D Goddess Nyomi Banks here on Ask Nyomi Bridging the Gap podcast. This is where we talk about love, sex, relationship, cultural differences, and so much more while bridging the gap between them all and teaching the world on love, language, sex, language, and attitude, and spiritual uplifting. What is going on, my BTG crew? I miss you guys. What's going on, Dog Pound Mike?
It's all good. It's all good.
All right, so I am truly excited about our show tonight. We have a very, very special guest. Oh my God. I know I have a lot of questions. I know I have a lot of questions because have I met someone like this before? Yes, I have, but not a woman that's in charge like this. So, what we're going to do is we're going to take a break and we're going to come back because we're going to find out what's going on and what's in the mind of the beautiful entrepreneur and the owner of Bella Hacienda right here in Nevada, the longest running brothel, Miss Madam Bella Cummins is coming soon. When I say soon, right after this break, and we're going to find out everything that she has to offer for us and everybody else. All right. It's your girl, D Goddess Nyomi Banks here on Ask Nyomi Bridging the Gap podcast. We'll be right back.
Hey, my sexy people, it's your girl, the Goddess Nyomi Banks. And I finally did it. I've written my first book. Well, actually, it's a living journal. It's called Good Morning, My Sexy People. Where I share my stories in different posts, but help a healing workbook for you. So it's 90 days to kick off your healing living journey. Pre-purchase now. Go to AskNyomi.com and hit shop. Listen. Hey, my sexy people, this is your girl, the Goddess Nyomi Banks, and I just wanted to talk about something a little serious real quick. Right now in this world, sex trafficking is at an all-time high, and I want you ladies to be especially aware when you are out and pay attention to certain things. Now, there's a list of things right here that is going around social media, and I just wanted to pay special attention to it and just share it with you. So as I always say, always keep it sexy, but always be safe.
Hey, well, welcome back. I am your girl, the Goddess Nyomi Banks, and you are listening to and watching Ask Nyomi Bridget the Gap podcast. I am here with my co-host, Dog Pound Mike. What's going on?
It's all good. It's all good.
Are you excited for this show?
Yes, I am.
Are you excited for this guest?
Yes, I am.
I know you have your pen and paper ready. I know you do. But before you bring her in, I just want to say a few things about this woman here. Is when I had gotten a write up on her and I had read some of her things. I thought she had a great, amazing story. I think it takes a lot of courage to be able to step and be a leader in this industry in this form. Miss Madam Bella Cummins. She is one of the longest, if not the longest, female owner operator of brothel here legally in Nevada. And she's been doing it since I think it's 1987. But not only that, but she has founded a foundation called Onesta, to where they help with funding with sex workers and stuff like that. But she is truly fighting politically on different levels to take the stigma out of this legal form of what they call prostitution. But she wanted to take the stigma out of it. So this is what I want to do. I want to give a round of applause and a welcome to Madame Bella Cummins.
Hi, you're,
Hi.
you're beautiful.
Why, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming on. It's truly your story is something that I think is much needed. These are unheard stories that our society is not, they don't hear about. We always have certain things that we think about, or they put it stereotypical like that we already just say what it is, versus to actually hearing from somebody um, that's not only in the work field, but also is an owner and an operator of it and being a female, so that kind of change it a different round. It's a little different from us, what's the one called the Bunny Ranch where they had, Hoffer there, but now we have you, as one of the longest running owners in Nevada. Now for me, like, let me do this. I want you to introduce yourself because maybe I probably didn't do it that much work, but if you can introduce yourself to my audience.
Well, thank you, first of all, the audience, everyone, for having me. And I am Madam Bella Cummins. I am the longest serving madam. I was 10 years plus longer than Mr. Hoff. And I know that it's a women's industry. That's really what it is. And yes, it's owned by a lot of men, and the women are in the forefront. But I've been in it, like you said, since 1987, and I believe in women's empowerment. I believe that we as women should have one another's back, and we should be able to cheer one another on in an industry that really doesn't last forever. So, in the time that we get to do this, I know in my heart it truly is a calling.
Hmm. I like that. And when I was reading the write up on you that your publicist sent over, and I saw it, I wanted to kind of touch base right in the beginning on Onesta. I am very big on, different foundations and stuff like that, especially for sex workers. So if you can tell us about that program, that foundation that you founded and you funded, what is that about?
It's funded by myself right at this moment. Someday I would love for it to expand out. But there were two things going on. There was a big religious movement around the what I call the Hoff houses, and
Mm,
those that type of religious group really wanted it gone. And I believe with all my heart that the only reason we're alive is for sensual sexual experiences.
mhm,
And I also believe very strongly that the Onesta is meant to answer people's questions, be there for women that maybe don't know uh, about the industry and the depths of the industry and where they can get their questions answered. They can talk to me. And then also at that time, there was a big movement of women that weren't happy with Mr. Hoff, that they
mm,
thought he was a little too, I'm going to say, sexually aggressive.
mm,
And so I thought that, well, being the longest standing serving madam, that they would have more of a say if there was a woman that had been there a long time that could give them credibility
okay.
when
Mhm,
they were speaking.
mhm,
So that didn't go like I thought it would,
okay.
but he had a different group of women at that time in the late, what was it, probably 2018, I think. But
Mhm.
I still never give up on what I believe in, and that is the empowerment of women, people understanding better why they're here on this planet. They're not here to see how much they can eat and drink or how
Mhm.
much or how hard they can work. It's the touch. We need one another. We learned that when they locked us all down.
Mm.
It didn't go well.
Mm.
So I I keep it going because I feel like it's meant to do even more. It's
Mhm.
only what a few years old,
Mhm.
but I'm totally against trafficking, and I believe that a lot of people believe that women in this industry are somehow trafficked, and that is not true. I
Mhm.
believe the women that are really never seen are the ones that have been trafficked.
Mm.
They just disappear,
Mm. Mm.
and I have a problem with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too. Can you share with us the history and the background of your establishment, and how did you come about being the oldest brothel in Nevada?
Um, as far as the oldest brothel, I'm unsure if I'm actually the oldest. I believe I'm really the longest serving madam, maybe in the world. But
Mm.
I came, I sort of stumbled into the industry uh, when I owned a restaurant, and it was in that House area where eventually Dennis Hoff picked up those houses. But back then, it was a different group of people. They were all owned individually. And my little restaurant, all of the madams and people like that would come in and they would talk about it. Or madams would come in and I'd ask them questions. And, why are brothels in areas where there's wrecking yards or junkyards? And well, because the whole concept was to put them in an area where no one would want to build a home, where there would be no subdivisions. And that way, people looking for those types of services would be able to find them. And so I always felt like if we kept our head a little below the sagebrush, that we would just be able to keep on going without any interference or anything like that. But, back to how I got into it, a gentleman came into my restaurant and he wanted me to be his house sitter. And I
Mm.
thought, well, okay. I was selling the restaurant and he was going to travel. Well, then we wound up where he didn't travel and we wound up getting married. And then the real sort of bomb was that he had bought in as a silent partner to what was then the hacienda. And then he said, now, I don't want you to get concerned, but I owe about $600,000. And I said, what?
In 1987?
Yeah. And I said, oh, wow. And he goes, it's okay. It's only zeros. And I thought, hmm, I'm working like a couple of jobs and I'm raising a teenage daughter. And I thought, wow, that's a lot of money to owe. And then he needed help because he didn't really understand the business. So it was necessary that we take control of it. And so I was brought on as the bookkeeper,
Okay.
and I learned so much. I learned that it was an industry that was kind of dying in Nevada because the interstate had opened, and I thought, we've got to find a way to reinvent ourselves. Well, we did. And about 10 plus years into our marriage, David did pass away. And I did manage to pay it all off. And so when he passed through, he really didn't want me to, I'm going to say, have to own it. But there was no way it was going to sell. And so from 87 till now, it's been my platform for growth. It's been how I became who I am today, where I understand the importance of what I call sex work, the sexual industry and why, moving forward and never having that prostitution linked to it is so important because we aren't. We are licensed, legal, sensual, sexual service providers, then I would put the term of prostitute on illegal activity. Well, why should both legal and illegal have the same label? And labels are really important, as we know. And so it's degrading, it's derogatory, and it doesn't matter to me if someone's in the porn industry or massage parlor or escort. I believe there's a way to do it where I'm going to say I know there's men and women involved, but I'm going to speak about women right this second, that there's a way for them to do it and they don't have to carry that stigma and where people can learn and begin to understand that what we're called to do is really something we're really called to do. It isn't like we just decide to go out and do it for the money because we have to have some sort of a passion in order for the money to even show up. So I believe in my heart that what I'm going to say you are out talking about is being human correctly.
Mhm. Mhm.
You don't harm anyone.
No.
We don't harm anyone.
No. No.
So
No.
why should that be judged?
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. Thank you for that. So let me ask you this question. How has the perception of adult entertainment industry evolved over the years? And since you've been in here since 87 and you kind of watched it, kind of maneuver around and certain things that I heard you did say is that at a moment of time, it felt like things kind of slowed down, but then all of a sudden, it opened up or did you recreate yourself? So how has that been since, especially now that everything is a lot, things are online, so people could get a sexual arousement now online, versus it was in the more physical, face to face, type of thing.
Hmm. Well, that's a multifaceted question, Naomi. Good job. You might keep me talking for the rest of the interview, right? But I'll do my best to condense it. But I am going to start with one little part because this kind of grosses out young women, and I don't mean to. But when I look at them and I say, well, when I first entered the industry, there were no condoms, and they go, what? And I said, yes, there were no condoms.
Mm,
87, no, AIDS hadn't happened, nothing. And so I was, besides pre-AIDS, the biggest conundrum was pregnancy. That's
mm,
why brothels had bidets, things like that. But, that was like she could rinse off, right? So, but the interesting thing is, then AIDS came along. We've never had any AIDS. It's out there. People fooling around out there. So in this industry, we, in the moving forward of it, we had to get past the drug part, or I'm going to use this term, but please loosely, the pimp part. And it
mm,
was very, 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 very much part of what I was working with in, let's say, the 80s.
mhm,
But then as we approached the 21st century, I began to watch it sort of evolve. It was like a really talented amoeba. It was starting to just flat. And women, they wanted to be on their own, didn't quite know how. And we'd all been trained how to protect ourselves from one another, like other women,
mhm,
instead of being this group of ladies that really had one another's backs,
mm.
where we could applaud success and we could be really excited when someone did well. So
Okay.
as this evolved, with the AIDS and the mandatory condoms, the pregnancies stopped. condoms had to evolve because they truly were that part of taking a shower with a raincoat on. They were super duper thick, kind of like a steel belted radial, if you remember those. Lube wasn't much. And so it had to evolve to this point where now not only can people rarely imagine sex without a condom, in brothels, rarely does someone ask for an encounter without a condom. And that's against Nevada law.
Hmm.
It, in the involvement of what I call Bellas, it I always had this idea that women should keep their own money
Mm.
and use this short career to propel them forward into what they were supposed to do next. All right.
Mm.
And maybe it was going to school, maybe it was being a hairdresser, maybe it was another part of I'm going to call it psychology or helping other women in the industry or maybe transitioning out of the industry. And so I held that consciousness, but it wasn't really until the pandemic, which I just love to call the plandemic, that at, at the post pandemic, it was like people understood they needed one another so much that the sex actually sort of diminished behind the closed door. You heard more laughing, you heard more conversations,
Mm.
um, it, and and of course there's still sex involved,
Hmm.
but it was as if people understood there was something even more that included the sensual part of it, the seductive part of it.
It was more of an intimate connection.
Yes, and for whatever those moments were,
Hmm.
still nobody had to call one another in the morning.
Mm.
Yes, if the arousal, and you did bring this up, was online, there is no replacement for the human touch.
Mm.
And so I'm going to say Bella's is alive and well because of that. Because when a client comes in, it doesn't matter, man, woman, couple, they there's something they're wanting to experience safely, and they understand that what they exchange is money. And with that, it's very easy to talk about. It's very easy for them to figure out that it's okay to say it out loud. This is what I've always wanted to experience, and then to make it so. So the ladies that are working with me now, and I always say with me because they have a business license. Excuse me, it's the same as mine. It's just mine costs more. So, but they have this what I call seductiveness to them that I don't know that the others along the way had it quite that way. They're young, they're love, or they're all different ages, they're lovely, and they have this per- personality. They have this way about them that's just all in service. And watching them and being a mentor to them so that they can be the seductress, temptress, and enchantress is like the magic that's finally in the third decade of our millennium.
Mm. Okay. That was a nice one.
Yeah, that was.
That was nice. That was nice. All
Yeah,
right, so
you had a lot of layers to that onion.
I'm about to put another one. Even though we said it a little bit, but now with the online platforms and the independent escorts and all that, and I know you touched base on a little bit on the pimp stuff, and now that more women now are looking at it more as a business aspect of it for themselves individually. For you as having a brothel and having most like a what you want to say a brick and mortar. let's just say that, a brick and mortar. For you, how has that been, um, business wise, and also for you with, and this is on top of question, also for you as for your beautiful young ladies that are there with you, are there any what can you say, a retirement plan or of something to give them a, I heard you speak on it a little bit about maybe going somewhere with it, or but is there something else that you have within your plan for the ladies when they come in there, like, may not want this as a long-term goal, because as you mentioned before, this doesn't last for a long time, especially as we age out, or whatever they want to call it. For you, are do you ask them or offer them those online courses, I mean online services as well to do besides that? I guess I'm probably asking like five different questions in one question.
Yeah, yeah, you're really good at this. I really like that. So you're wanting to test and see if I can keep it straight. I get this, you know. But here's what I saw through 37 years. I watched young women didn't understand what to do with this money. Kind of like here's a parallel. A young athlete whose career has a timeline. Well, guess what? They're a young athlete. They really are just slightly different, right?
Hmm.
And the first ones, it was like it went, I'm going to say to men. And then as it progressed, it uh, went to Walmart. And I was like, wait a minute. It's like, do you want the home? Do you want the car? Do you, uh, now, they can work at Bella's. They can take classes online.
Hmm.
Doorbell rings. Hey, just put it on pause. Tell your professor you'll be right back. Well, or in an hour, maybe.
Right.
Might take
No.
a minute. But, the idea is that there are so many things
Hmm.
online that uh, if a person has what I call a burning desire and the faith in themselves, and they know that they want to be this right now, and they're going to take this money and they're going to do that, and they're able to keep their eye on that,
Hmm.
on that. I'm going to call it uh, it's like on the ball, right?
Hmm.
Then it's the idea is save the money, get a bank account, do some other things that, like, some of my gals now, they're getting like CDs now because
Mm.
they're 5 6% or something like that right now, right? Well,
Hmm.
it's great. It's a start. And other than that, I'm a great storyteller in that I like to share where I came from, because I was the oldest of 6 kids. We didn't know we were poor.
Mm.
Just because we all lined up and the shoes went down, I was the oldest, so I always got new shoes. But my feet were always bigger, right? But those were the things back then that even now, helping women understand that they don't have to be born with a silver spoon. They just
Hmm.
have to have goals, and they have to talk about them. Every time I have a new lady come in, I give her a notebook and I
Okay.
say, write it down. Where are you going? What are your dreams and goals? When I interview them, what are your dreams and goals? Why are you choosing this industry? Because if it's just for the money, I said that's not enough.
Yeah.
There has to be more. And then now I'm going to squeeze into something else just a little bit that we can talk about. I actually have ladies that are former courtesans, 16, 20 years ago with me. Okay. And they, let's say they're in their 60s.
Hmm.
Their idea is to help these young ladies in their 20s and 30s understand how to be successful, to help me so that there's more of with them, helping them understand saving the money, why to save the money, what to do with the money. And so that's where, just in this brief statement I'm going to make, it's a courtesan run house, you know. So everyone's worked for me or are still, working for me. And to me, that's the most empowering thing that I believe can happen because
Mm,
these women that have worked with me when I wasn't this far along, uh, they made a lot of money.
mm,
I kind of had to put them in a box back then to make it where I'd say, okay, we're going to do it this way. And they left with all this money, but they weren't happy with me for sort of making them do it a certain way, which was very businesslike. This is
mm,
what you're going to do. And so here's these women coming forward to me that worked with me like that, going, Bella, I finally get it. I want to help them understand what it was you were really working to have me pull into my brain.
mhm, 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 mhm. All right, so this is one of the things that why I created Ask Naomi Bridging the Gap podcast, and it's truly so. We all come from different backgrounds, different cultures, and different stuff like that, and it's more of us understanding where everybody comes from. We might not agree with everybody, but at least respect where everybody is coming from. So this is a question for you. For prostitution has often been a topic of debate regarding legality and morality. How do you respond to those who argue that the industry perpetrates and exploit or are objective for women as objections for women?
I have been in front of the Wells City Council many, many times.
Hmm.
And there's still one lady who has no problem telling me that I'm tolerated and my business is tolerated. And I just keep talking. I just keep talking. And the rest, what I see is the rest of the world, the council in particular, are beginning to evolve.
Mm,
So, I went in front of the council to get an escort license while we were closed down. Okay. I said, look, the money's either going to go to Reno, where, there's was one other house that had an escort license. I said, or the customers are calling, or the money's going to be spent on else. And I said, we're pretty struggling here. We've all been closed down for about 8 months. So
hmm.
the choice is yours. But either way, the money gets spent.
Right.
Well, they unanimously voted to give me the escort license.
Mm,
Now, here was the coolest part, Naomi. We didn't have to leave the building. I love it. So it was like everybody, the men, the women, whatever, they showed up.
hmm.
And it was just like in the very, very early 80s, they were just waving money. And so I had housed all these women, and my credit cards were like relatively overdrawn. And it was just like in a matter of a month, my credit cards were paid off. The women had enough money. Two of them went out and bought cars. I mean, it was incredible. So it was like in when I talk to people, if they're alone, they want to know all about it. If they're a religious group, and I'm going to say there's a lot of religion and wealth. They they just don't want it in their face. That's all.
Mm,
They like the fact that it's there. Wells is a 5 truck stop community, and
mm,
if the brothel wasn't there, the truck stops would be overrun, and so
mm,
there is no problem. But there's reasons for rural Nevada to be the only place in Nevada where these houses were voted in to be legal by either um, a county or once the county voted it to be uh, legally licensed, then an incorporated city like Wells could do the same. So I'm really under a different license from Elko County, even though I'm in Elko County. But when you get into the big cities like Las Vegas and Reno,
Mhm.
That you've got all the sex crimes, you've got all the illegal activity. I know with all my heart that there's a ton of trafficking that no doubt goes on.
Mhm.
But
Mm.
I'm not part of that. I'm
Right.
part of 53 years of proving that a legal brothel is a benefit to a community, a benefit to a state, and benefit to people, individuals that can't go out and have a relationship, maybe because of their work, or maybe they've got an anomaly and they
Mm.
really can't attract a mate. These individuals, men or women or couples, whatever it is, they need a place to go, a place that's safe, a place that's regulated, a place that pays the community taxes so that the community prospers. And I'm going to say that everyone involved is does well then.
Mhm. And it's safe.
Absolutely.
Safe.
It's safe. Nobody has to look over their shoulder. And I actually have I don't really know how independents do it because they have to be their own security, they have to be their own marketers, they have to be everything. And I think that I just don't know how they juggle all that.
Mm. Okay, so let me ask you this. Now, I heard you say about the licensing. And
Mhm.
this is a question that I have. Is Nevada the only state in the country that has legal prostitution or,
Yes.
legal? It is that's the only. Oh, wow.
Yes.
How many
Yes.
how many legal brothels are there in Nevada? Do you
When
know?
when I first stepped on, there were 32. Now there's about 20.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That
But
is interesting.
because I'm on the western crossroad of the United States, that's Interstate 80 and Highway 93, so it's coast to coast or Canada to Mexico. Um, it is the best location for a brothel anywhere.
Wow.
Everybody comes through Wells.
Wow.
You gotta stop.
Let me put it on my GPS.
All right. So with the licensings, what do you have to do that? To if someone said, okay, I want to, create me this beautiful, sexy space, place. I'm not asking for myself, but I'm just saying, just space, and what do I need to do to get this license to open up my own brothel in the back?
Okay. That's a really good question. So good for you. You, Naomi, get to come and say to Bella, "Hey, I would like to buy your license." Because not there's only so many, and in the codes written in other counties or incorporated cities, they designated how many, and so it actually makes the license rather, what would we say, an important part of the sale, because you can't just start one. And Bella's, besides being a brothel, has an escort license. So
Wow.
I have
Wow.
both. So, but location matters, all
Mhm.
right? And um, I don't know if you ever heard of Joe Conforti, but Joe Conforti always said Joe Conforti and Sally Conforti were the ones that petitioned the legislature of Nevada in 1971 to legalize the houses of prostitution. However, the state really didn't want anything to do with it. So they handed it to the counties and said any county that wants it can vote it in. The people can vote it in. And then there was an extra little addendum that if there was an incorporated city within the council that had, within the county, sorry, that had voted to have houses, then that city could have and add their own houses, which is where Bella's came to be.
Oh wow. So so under your license, under your license in your escort license, can you have multiple houses or
No,
no, just one? Just one. Okay.
just
Okay.
one.
Just one. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm in the Wells brothel code. They they did say that you could only own one in Wells. Now, there are a few owners, uh, like Dennis Hoff, who bought up a lot of houses, like about, I think all told before he passed, he might have had as many as six.
Wow.
But he was in, for whatever reason, that Lyon County area had no problem with him eventually owning all of those. And I
Mm.
believe there's four. And then he started down south to, some of a couple of the others. But it it's something that if it's going to be run right, it really isn't about managers and CEOs and CFOs and cleaners and maintenance and security. Bella's is totally courtesan run.
Hmm.
So if if let's say the retired courtesans are answering the door, maybe tending bar, there's two shifts where they will answer the door just because of heavier traffic, right? But then between like other hours, let's just say 2 and 6 in the morning, the courtesans answer it. The courtesans that are actually the what I call the working sex workers. They answer the door, they run their credit cards, they turn their money in the morning. They're it. I trust that they have my back 100%. And the run. I
Mm.
don't have security. I don't need security.
Oh
It's
wow.
it's a really safe place. I know other houses do, and I
Yeah.
often have wondered what are you doing in there that you have to have security.
Mm.
Wow.
But Bella's is really, it's the only one like it.
Wow, I just want to come and see. I've never been to one, but I want to come see. I've always wanted to go to one. I really did. That's always been something I just wanted to go see, check it out, see the different rooms, all of that. Like really low key. I thought about it many, many years ago about opening my own and call it the chocolate world.
Well, I'll tell you, chocolate is popular, and there's something I get to share with you because I know it's a very, very old adage, but when in the 80s, in order to work in a brothel, you really had to be an unattractive African American.
Unattractive.
Unattractive.
Oh, attractive one. Okay, okay.
Unattractive.
Ugly one.
Unattractive, she said.
Unattractive. Because now this is the please. I didn't make this up, but gentlemen thought that being with an unattractive African American would change their luck. Hmm. Hmm. Now I know that day is gone, thank goodness. And now to work at Bella's, you have to be drop dead gorgeous, and you're going to make a killing.
Wait
So where that whole thing came from, it's like because I remember when I was first introduced, I said, "What? They have to be what?" And it was like, but they did. They made a lot of money. But now they're beautiful. I mean, they look like you. They elegance, just
what?
elegance. It's gorgeous.
You know, that's going to be on my mind for a while now that you said that. Like, wow.
I don't know who made that up, but it's like it's gone, and it's a good thing it's gone.
Yeah, that's a
You
good thing,
know.
but never heard of that before. Never.
Well,
Wow.
I think I've probably been on the planet a couple days before you.
Just a couple.
Just, a couple weeks. So anyway, it's the oddest things in this industry, the oddest. And so now it's like you can be almost, and I'm going to say reasonably so, any age. And as long as you are secure in who you are, and you have this personality and this magnetism, and
Yeah. Hmm.
you make a ton of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it, yes, the young ones, of course, a lot of people like very, very young women, but at Bella's, 30s and even into their 40s are extremely popular
Mm.
because they're looking for maturity sometimes,
Yeah.
or sometimes we get I'm going to call it those youngsters from Utah that come out of the temple. And
Mm.
I always know it's them because they circle the building about 3 times to make sure lightning isn't going to strike them. And then they come in and they get to find out more about who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And it delightful, just delightful how we get to express ourselves as human beings, like in the walls of the brothel,
Mm-hmm.
and just the way we are, so that we don't have to put on a facade. And
Right.
I don't think we get to do that very much,
Mm-hmm.
unless probably like you or me, we just are.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't need for people to like us. We're speaking out and we're doing exactly what we came here to do.
Exactly. Exactly. Here's a question for you. Being, and I guess this is something if I was running my thing, and what I want to ask you, I want to see where you at with this. By owning and having your own brothel, and actually being able to introduce new things to different people? Do you go out to the community and kind of share awareness or on safe sex, on or education of sex? Do you do that for your community?
No.
Okay.
It- The community, wherever there's a brothel, there are no sex crimes.
Hmm.
And I also believe that youngsters in today's world are more advanced than maybe we were as youngsters, where everybody knows about condoms, or, everybody, it's like you're born, I think, with a pill in one hand and a cell phone in the other.
Hmm.
And it just seems to be how it is. The youngsters know where we are. All right. So they have this idea, but they don't really know.
Right. Hmm.
But
It's more on
it's,
the awareness of them sexually too, or on the having the right attitude when it comes to my thing for me is more, especially I got into the adult industry when I was 30 years old. I was grown, married, just recently divorced, so I was a mother, so I was kind of fully knowing who I am when I got into the industry.
Mhm.
One thing that I did learn in the industry, it was more about myself sexually. And I think especially in society now is that um, it's a lot of times that we are not taught about our sexual beings. You understand what I'm saying? So for you, as is that something that you will offer? If not, if you don't already, offer those, type of courses or classes or intimate sessions with the community. And I'm not just talking about children, I'm talking about with couples or anything like that. Um, you know, besides just when they come in there, but just go out and just maybe do some, what you call it? I can't even think right now,
Seminar or
like
something.
seminars or something like that, like this Saturday, Bella, is giving a free, such and such or something, come out, and kind of, you know what I mean? Am I saying
Yeah,
it right? I want
yeah,
to make sure I'm saying it right. Did you understand what I'm saying, Doc?
I
Mike, right?
understand.
I understand. I
Okay.
understand.
Okay.
This, what the seminars that I've had over all these years have really been more one-on-one with gentlemen
Mhm.
as far as them understanding why they come into a brothel, what they're looking for. Um, and with the women, it's when I'm working with them, it's either individual or sometimes it is a group of them. And it's and I'm saying with all of them, it's working to help them understand that this that the whole idea of having a sexual appetite has been suppressed for so long. This is absolutely the place to say it out loud and experience it safely.
Mm.
And if you think about it, like with couples, okay, you're in the bedroom, all right, and let's say that um, your husband says, "Well, hey, let's do this," and the wife would say, "Well, I thought you liked how I did it," and so there's no experimentation.
Mm.
Instead, it's like the fight's on, like taking it personally, or oh my God, it's like, wait a minute, I just wanted to like expand what we do,
Yeah.
but it's always taken like somebody should feels less than or something. And
Mm.
at Bella's, and I've tended bar a lot. And I say this to the gentleman. I say, look, whatever you think is going to happen in that room, I said, I want you to multiply it times 10 because you have no idea how that whole experience is going to play out.
Mm.
I said, it is a mystery ride. You might go in thinking you're going to have a half and half, but when you get done with the backflip off the headboard and just miss the fan, it's like, let it unfold. Let it be an experiment. It's two people, they're naked, that may never see one another again. But he's chosen her. She finds no judgment, and it's like game on.
Mm.
And it's
Mm.
all done safely without a script.
All right, I have some more questions for you. We have to take a break, and I want to open up the lines. We have our BTG crew. We have folks that's looking at us on Facebook, on Twitter,
Mhm.
all of those things. And so we will put a number up to have them call. So if you will please take some phone calls, and then I have some few more questions for you. But I am truly enjoying this interview. I'm
And I'm
getting really.
enjoying you.
All right, it's your girl D got us here at Ask Naomi Bridget the Gap podcast. We have the beautiful, the Madam Bella Cummins. We will be right back.
Hey, my sexy people, it's your girl, the goddess Naomi Banks. And I finally did it. I've written my first book. Well, actually, it's a living journal. It's called Good Morning, My Sexy People. Where I share my stories in different posts, but help a healing workbook for you. So it's 90 days to kick off your healing living journey. Pre-purchase now. Go to asknaomi.com and hit shop. Listen. Hey, my sexy people, this is your girl, the goddess Naomi Banks, and I just wanted to talk about something a little serious real quick. Right now in this world, sex trafficking is at an all-time high, and I want you ladies to be especially aware when you are out and pay attention to certain things. Now, there's a list of things right here that is going around social media, and I just wanted to pay special attention to it and just share it with you. So as I always say, always keep it sexy, but always be safe. It's your girl D Goddess Naomi Banks, and the phone lines are open. If you want to speak or have a question for Madame Bella Cummins, give us a call at 626-605-2756. That's 626-605-ASK Naomi.
All right, it's your girl, the goddess Naomi Banks, and welcome back to Ask Naomi Bridget the Gap podcast. I am here with the beautiful Madam Bella Cummins. I am so loving this interview.
You
And
know,
I do
it's okay to laugh. It's okay to laugh and have fun too.
it is, it is. And it was so funny because I had, told a couple of my friends that I was doing this interview, and they were so excited about the questions that I was going to ask. And I said, well, I'm going to have some questions for you, but I also wanted to open it up to everybody to ask questions as well. Because we see all the time we don't have a one-on-one with a madam or a one-on-one with anybody, of your standard to be able to have those conversations with you. And so for me, having been in the adult industry for so many years, I really never got a chance to meet. And so it was like something else. This will be great. And when Jeremy came to me, I was like, I would love it, just period. And I started doing a read up on you. And I even saw that you did a little stint, like you were running from, is it mayor or something like that you was
Oh
running
no,
for?
I wanted to be the sheriff.
The sheriff, yeah, the sheriff.
Yeah, I wanted to be a sheriff. You know what?
That,
That didn't go. That didn't go real well.
well, what happened?
Well, during the pandemic, they did all these closed, all these closed things at the legislature, and so somehow or another, I'm going to say a lot of the corruption moved through the country, and they decided that if you were going to be sheriff, you had to have 5 years experience, which means you've sat in a car probably for 5 years. And
Mm,
I didn't really see how that would make a good sheriff. A
mm,
sheriff runs the jail
right.
or the budget. And of course, as a madam, nobody loans a brothel money. You have to make the money and then spend it correctly. And I thought to myself, well, you know what? If everyone in this country, including our country, would learn to do that, we'd have be far less taxed. But as far as sheriff, I really felt that I really, even if I had to go take post for a past post, which means you got to run and do a few things and that, and I felt like I understood morale. I understood how people with a badge were misunderstood. People are. I'm not happy when they stop me in my car. So it's like how to take and I'm going to say lead that group of individuals differently. And
Mm,
especially when our country really wants to have law enforcement go away. And I think we do need them. But the sheriff part, what happened was I was told I was allowed to run, but I really couldn't take office. So my goal was to win and then petition to be able to be sheriff. But the DA threatened me with criminal prosecution if I didn't get off the ballot. Well, Bella still didn't get off the ballot. She didn't want to get off the ballot. So the very next day, he had the Elko County clerk kick me off.
wait,
And
so
so
I'm sorry. How can they for criminal prostitution when
pro-
prostitution is legal?
prosecution,
Prosec-
prosecution,
Oh, okay, okay. I was
prosecution.
like,
Yeah, no,
I said,
prosecution. So he wanted to criminally prosecute me for running,
why? How? Hmm?
but he didn't. He just had me thrown off. But you know what? I really believe I would have been elected. And
Wow.
then what would they have done?
Do I
I'm
want to
a
know?
happy girl. Yeah, I've been a super happy girl.
Oh my goodness. All right, so here's one more question that I have for you. Um, because I did hear you say that you did not have any security at your space, at your
No.
place. So in what ways do you ensure the safety and well-being of your employees, and how does your establishment prioritize consent and respect in the workplace?
Okay, well, that's a little bit of a story, but first of all, we have panic buttons, we have intercoms, we have cameras down the halls. We're a medium-sized house, which means we could have as many as 14 ladies. All right, but if you think about this, All right. When when an escort goes to a gentleman's home or apartment, well, he's real comfortable. She ought to be a little bit concerned, a little bit worried. We could call it scared, a little bit nervous, right? Well, the opposite is true when a gentleman comes into the house. Our job is to help him be comfortable and be comfortable enough to express himself fully. So it's they already come in nervous. And
Mm.
until they understand that it's a really nice place, that the ladies are absolutely magnificent, and he can relax because you know what happens to a man if he gets really nervous? There are things that don't stand up. So
I
we
understand what that.
really get to make him comfortable.
Right.
Yeah.
Woo! Get nervous, you don't stand up. I hear that. All right, guys, we're going to open up the lines to talk to Miss Madam Bella Cummins. The number is 1-626-605-2756. That is 626-605. Ask Naomi, and the lines are open. We're going to take a call right now.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, right on.
Hey, Mr.
Hi.
Rockard.
Yo, what's happening? What's happening? How y'all doing?
We're
I'm
good.
good. Yeah.
That's what's up. Um, first of all, I want to give a shout outs to both queens doing your things out here. Definitely business ladies. That's what's up. But I got a question for Madam, and actually you too, Naomi. For one, like when it comes to like pornography and like prostitution, what's the difference?
Do you, well, first of all, pornography is really captured on film, all right? And I'm going to say that in behind the closed door, there's a lot of it that you could still call it pornography. There are people engaged in sensual sexual services. The difference is isn't an audience that can purchase the tape after it happens. Okay, that's something that we never have inside a brothel. Did that answer
Get that answer.
exactly?
Put something on it.
I mean, it makes sense. So like, it is one's on camera, one's on not.
Correct. They both happened.
It
It's
both.
just one lives on. The other
Yeah.
one is an experience and lives on in their mind. And that's really where sex happens anyway, is the mind.
All right.
So your
But
thing is, so your thing is the difference. Okay, this is my question for you, Rockhart. You can't see a difference between prostitution and doing porn.
I mean, at first I couldn't. Like that's why I'm. That's why I was asking you because my personal, like there were like you're paying for sex, but in a way, that's what I'm asking. Is there something that like from my point of view, like I said, it's like you're paying for sex, so that's what we see from my point of view. Is anything that I was
Right.
like, well,
Hmm.
no, that's not. What makes one legal and one illegal? I guess is what I'm asking. That's what I'm. It's like
Well,
probably jail for probably.
well, the government for one. The thing is when you're talking about pornography, you're talking about a performance. That's for one thing you're talking about. You're talking about when you hire one to do a sexual act that's within a scripted or a scenario of a movie or scene. That's what actors, sex workers, actors are getting paid for. Now, when you're talking about escorting and prostitution, that is something that they're doing one on one with somebody that is coming with the service for that. You understand what I'm saying? So that is what they are selling. They are selling the intimacy sexual between two people for that to where is in a pornographic movie that is of actual screens, sets, um, cameramen, like you know what I'm saying? There's a movie, there's just a sexual um, act that happens in those movies, whether if the acting is bad or not. That's what it is.
You,
You know what I mean?
we want to talk about the great plot.
No, I think like things like one is like more acting. It's like it's more one is entertaining, and the other is just like it is what it is type deal. I think I get it.
It's an impromptu. It's an impromptu situation where I'm going to say a gentleman. We'll just pick a gentleman because it could be a lady too. But he can have a lady of a specific nationality and basically define, let's say, what he'd like to experience with his sexual appetite, and exchange money for that. However, when they go behind the closed door, it still isn't scripted. It has parts of it that are general, and yet, let's say that the individual could never ever go out there outside the brothel and have that same woman or that same experience for that kind of money out there. It can only happen within the walls of that legally licensed brothel.
Mm.
So it's the privacy. That's fire. Actually.
Yeah. You know, I have a
Yes.
question for you. Now, I've never seen this before, but have there ever been a man that has been in the one who's giving service, meaning as a courtesy or a escort
Mhm.
in any of the? Because I've never heard of seeing that, but do they have any houses that house men that maybe women come into, to get the service from men, or have Bella ever employed or brought in a male escort?
Um, the licensing of brothels was always about women, all right?
Wow.
And I'm never saying that men can't. I believe if you go to like New York City, you
Mm,
can actually go and there be escorts that are men, and you can go to dinner. Just like the reverse of women being escorts. But men are wired differently from women in that typically there has to be some type of attraction in order for all of their parts to work,
mm-hmm.
or they're going to be taking something for it to work. And in the brothel, women are able to do sex work because of things like lube, and we just can. But a man is typically good for, you know, let's say one uh, climax, and then he's got to wait a little bit. And then, yes, let's say 45 minutes, an hour, he could probably do it again. But
Wow.
but if two ladies walk in, okay, and one is, let's say, 50 years old, and let's say maybe she's a little overweight and
Mm-hmm.
she's got money. And then a 20 something walks in and she looks like Barbie and she doesn't have very much money. Now, which one do you think it's going to stand up for?
Mm.
The one with no money. He might starve to death.
Wow.
But that's
Ah,
the biology, of the science in a body.
right.
There's this thing, and it just lights them up. I mean, yes, we have that, but that isn't necessary for us to engage in sexual activity.
Wow. Mm,
That's true.
mm,
Very
Hmm.
mm. So for you, for your clientele, and this is a question that I want to know your demographics, like especially I know you said you're right there like on the border, so you kind of get like, everything. So for you, what does your clientele look like the demographics, the age, you know?
Um, because we're the closest brothel to Idaho and Utah. Well, think about it. You got Salt Lake City, you have Park City, you have Sun Valley, Idaho, Boise, Twin Falls. So we get a lot of what I always call four-wheel traffic.
Mm,
Yes, there are long haulers out there. They have
mm,
money too. They have what we call desires too. And so I'm going to say it's probably 75% um, people really that have a decent amount of money. And
mm-hmm,
then, of course, there's that what I call the 25%, which might be long haul over the road type of men or women. And I don't know whether it's because the government handed out so much money or not, but I can tell you that people seem to have money and they seem to be willing to spend it for experiences that
mm,
they would like to have. And, of course, we have parties for guys on the go. They are short parties.
mm-hmm,
That it's really what I refer to as that quick release.
mm-hmm,
Mid-range parties, you bet, most popular. But then we have those fantasy experiences. And the
mm,
people that come in and want those, they they've arrived someplace in their life that that's really what they feel worthy of, and they don't mind spending.
mm. Now for the young ladies, the women that are there, how often are they tested? Because I know in the adult industry, for me, back in the day when I was in, it was every 30 days. I believe that we had to get tested for. I think now, I believe they said that it's every 15 days. I haven't performed in over 10 years, but I think that's what the case is now for you, especially holding your license. Is that one of the provisions of you having your license? Does it, you have to go through testing?
It, it isn't me that has to do it, but the cortisons working with me do. So once a month, it's blood and culture. And blood, of course, is HIV and syphilis. And then the culture is gonorrhea and chlamydia.
Mm-hmm.
So the first time they come in, that first week, and let's say they say they're going to stay a month. Okay. So the next 3 weeks are culture only. And then they're back to blood and culture.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, another question that I'm probably not giving somebody a chance to ask is, well, how does the money work? Well, the money is split. All right. And the money charged for a party is typically double or triple what someone could get on the outside as a as an independent or what I call even an escort. It always asks the gals because a lot of times there's this thing. Well, I don't want to split my money. Well, if you're getting 300 an hour or
Mm-hmm.
600 an hour, and you come into Bella's and you don't have to market, and you don't your security, and you don't have to, all the things that go along with being an independent. And let's say you make 1,200, but you didn't have to do any of that other stuff. Well, you've either made more money or you've let's just say you made exactly the same. But do you have to rent a hotel room? What else are you getting to spend your money on out of what we call that hourly rate?
Mm-hmm.
So, typically the ladies that work in a house excel financially quicker than ladies working independently.
Mm,
Now, and that is what I just as a general statement. I am sure that, like in every profession, there's going to be the cortegiana honestas that are entertaining the nobility, and they're gonna bank,
right,
maybe even more than at the brothel, but maybe not when
right.
their expenses start coming out of it.
Right. So let me ask you this, because now we're talking with you, we're doing expenses. So for the courtesy, they have to have a license. Um so how much for that? Can I ask you that? How much are their
Yes.
license? How much do they have to pay for licensing? For
Okay,
that?
their state business license that reads sole proprietor. It doesn't list anything to do with sensual sexual services. State just wants the money. Good for a year, $200.
Okay.
All right. And then, of course, because we are totally above board,
Hmm.
there's fingerprinting for $40.25. And
Mm.
then there is a Well City work card that right now is only $35.
And that's
So,
per year.
and the escort, to worry about that one.
Hmm.
Okay. It's just, I'm going to say, if we ever went to where someone wanted to be an escort instead of a courtesan, well, then great. They just get another set of fingerprints and a $35 escort license.
Now I saw that you said that. So now, let my audience know what's the difference between the escort and the courtesan. What's the difference between those 2?
All right. Escort is time and companionship.
Mm-hmm.
And the what I call the courtesan license is all of that. Good time, companionship, but it includes sexual services. Should the
Mm,
client be looking for that?
mm, okay. Okay. Okay.
But
Okay.
we all know an escort. It's
Hmm.
time and companionship.
Yeah. Yeah.
We know
We
that.
know it, but trust me, everybody that's watching do not know what the difference is.
I'm sure.
Do not know what the difference is. All right, so we're going to go take a break. And then I did go to my social connection and ask, and they had a few questions for you. So, what I want to do, I want to take a quick break, and then I want to come back, and we're going to let them ask you a few questions. All right?
It's like, come on, they should get brave. Ask.
All right. We'll be
Okay.
right back. It's your girl, D Goddess, Naomi Banks on Ask Naomi Bridging the Gap podcast.
It's actually great
Mm-hmm.
because, towards the end, I was like, man, I really just want my body to myself,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because I felt like my body belonged to Manuel, to Marcus,
Mm.
to Julius, so it's
Mm-hmm.
like I felt like I wanted my body to myself for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty great.
That's Naomi Bridging the Gap. This is where we talk about love, sex, relationship, cultural differences, and so much. Hey, my sexy people, it's your girl, the goddess Naomi Banks. And I finally did it. I've written my first book. Well, actually, it's a living journal. It's called Good Morning, My Sexy People. Where I share my stories in different posts, but help a healing workbook for you. So it's 90 days to kick off your healing living journey. Pre-purchase now. Go to asknaomi.com and hit shop. Listen.
It's your girl, D Goddess Naomi Banks here on Ask Naomi, Bridget the Guy podcast. Whoa, I did not know he was coming back to me, but I am here. We are here with the beautiful Madam Bella Cummins. And dog about Mike. Mike, what's going on, baby?
All good, all good.
Are you enjoying this conversation here?
Oh yeah, I'm finding out a whole lot of good info.
Info? Are you Googling over there?
Hey, I got I got the car
Bella,
packed up for that ride.
Bella's.us.
All right, as I was saying before the break, I did take it to social media, what I call my social connection segment. So I had a bunch of questions, but I kind of rather because some of them was just outrageous. But we do have a social connection. All right, in the question that I posed, I said, if you can ask the madam of a brothel a question, what would it be? And I thought that we had some really, really good ones, but these questions kind of stood out to me. All right, it says, is there a customer request that didn't include intercourse that shocked you?
Yeah, always, always. It's one that really stands out in my mind was the guy that came in and he really wanted to be dressed up, made up like a courtesan. And then he wanted to sit in the bar, but then he wanted to parade around and be in the lineup. And it was actually quite funny. It added a lot of lighthearted humor to the entire evening. Because
Wow.
it's one of those things, where a lot of a lot of times, with even if you get into some of the BDSM stuff and things like that, it doesn't have the intercourse involved. And and sometimes people just really have to be spanked.
Yeah.
They have just been naughty.
All right, our second question is, all right, after observing all of the married couples, is monogamy realistic for humanity?
Ooh, I like that question. That's a good one. Okay. You know, in relationships,
Mhm.
all right, and we're dating, right? And we have all these chemicals that sort of come out of our brain and they make us just this energetic, attractive, just this it's like a it's like a mating call, okay? And and what happens is as relationships move along, if couples fail to understand how to keep that spark of never, I'm going to call it losing that animal attraction, okay? Even though we're people, we're animals, mammals. It takes work, all right? In those relationships,
Mhm.
monogamy works very well because
Mhm.
chances are it's kind of like that soulmate thing, where you could be 110, married 150 years, and you still hold hands. There's still this magic. But a lot of times with relationships, you get to that place, you get married, and then life is, of course, carrying on. And some people say, You're not the woman I married," or "You're not the man I married." But it's true. It's true. Whatever that initial chemical magnetism was, it it, it got turned off.
Mm.
All right. And so that's like the science behind it. But here's other parts behind it. A lot of times, just for sex, people have gotten tired of splitting their stuff just to have a relationship. And now in today's world, there's people that really don't have time, but they still have the desire. And
Mm.
they can't just pick one person and say, "You're it. I'll be home in 6 months." Those rarely work. So there's all these reasons for people to be more like herd animals and see different partners safely and
Mm.
without manipulating another. And then that's a lot of what I believe makes brothels work. There's other things where maybe um, we'll just say a wife just she got to a place, let's say menopause hit, and they love each other dearly, and she goes, "I just not into it."
Mm.
He doesn't want to leave her. He just wants to be able to not bring anything home to her. So He still wants to express himself,
Mhm.
or vice versa.
Right.
So to me, you have all these little parts of being human that are still absolutely real to couples. And and you know, I didn't find Lance until I was 49.
Mm.
So prior to that, there was a lot of potential, but it
Mhm.
wasn't going to happen. So
Mm.
we many of us have experienced a lot of that. All
Right.
right. And actually, if I'm to be very, straightforward, I'm at a time in life where one night stands were a bit, that's how we did it. That was just
Mhm.
it. We did.
Mhm.
And we were pre-disease,
Mm.
but we still weren't the hippie era.
Right. Okay, I do have two very special questions for you. Usually what
Okay.
I do, I'm a very spiritual person, and I love to just find the inner soul of my guests when they come here. So this is one of my questions for you. What's been your most revealing thing about yourself that you learned from being in this industry?
That's a really good question, Naomi, because as I mentioned before, being a madam of Bella's Hacienda Ranch has been my platform for my evolving spirituality.
Mm.
And I believe with all my heart that we're all connected
Mhm.
and that we're extremely fragile
Mhm.
and that we're really very unkind to one
Mhm.
another.
Mhm.
And at Bella's, I have made it part of my life's work
Mhm.
to accept people exactly where they are and remind them if they really want to carry that story, okay, that it as long as they're inside that building, I want to
Mm.
hear their dreams, their goals, and what's important to them right now today.
Mm.
Because
Mm.
we tend to carry all that human hurt everywhere we
Wait.
go.
Yeah.
And it's not good.
Yeah.
And it's so, in my career, I've actually influenced way more men than women
Mm.
because all the years that I stood behind that bar, when the towers fell, everything, I mean, it didn't matter
Right.
what was going on. I realized that one of the most difficult things is when a man has a bad relationship. We seem to get over it a little differently, but with a man, it can attack his sexuality forever.
Mm.
And
Mm.
that's wrong.
Mm. Mm.
And so it's like we're so we each matter on the planet to, to the to the degree that if we are unkind to anyone, we have overstepped our bounds.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Here's another question for you. Throughout your life journey, which chapter can you say needed the most healing?
Oh wow. I believe that my marriage to David required the most healing. And he was my husband that allowed me to pay for the but he wasn't the greatest guy in this lifetime. By the end, I loved him, but I was a really young woman,
Mm.
and I felt when he was the most difficult, like I was somehow repaying a karmic debt, and that
Mm.
I was giving my youth
Mm.
to someone when I really wanted to be with my Prince Charming and where was the horse anyway and all of that. And I eventually realized that when we know better, we do better.
Mhm.
And that I I fought a situation that I was supposed to be in. And so understanding that seemed to take about another decade where I could say, "It- it's okay. It's okay.
Mhm.
You didn't give your entire youth
Mhm.
and you got, you never know how long you're going to be here. And so instead of getting old, get older. And so right now, I have to say, even though I know I have more days behind me than in front of me, this is the easiest time because I don't overthink things and I'm in the flow. I'm
Mhm.
never wanting life to be my way. I'm wanting it to express through me
I like
and,
that.
and help others.
I like that. And this is my final question for you, but I do have a call online. But this is my final question for you, and I ask everyone this: what is the essence of Madam Bella Cummins?
Mm. Ooh. Um, the essence. I'm I am absolutely genuine. I mean, my what I say I am. I am compassionate. I am absolutely unconditionally loving of everyone. And that there gives me the ability to connect with people on a different level.
Hmm.
And they know, they can see it in my eyes. They know that what they see is what they get. What comes out of my mouth is real.
Hmm. Yeah.
And yet here I am a madam. That's perfect. And I wouldn't change that.
Yeah.
Even though I know at some point in time someone will come along, and of course I'd really like for it to be a woman or a group of women that would come along and say, Madam Bell, we got this. And it would be a little like women's suffrage, those first ladies toting the signs, women voting. They didn't vote, but the ones that got the signs before they hit the ground voted. And when I stepped into this industry, there were a lot of women that still owned their houses. They came, and I'm going to go on just a second. They came from San Francisco.
Mm.
And when this was going to be legal, they came. Okay. And so finally, the men came and started waving money. They got a little bit older. They took the money. They
Mm.
wanted something, I guess you'd say, umbrella drinks on the beach too. So, I get it. But when I purchased a hacienda, that's now Bella's hacienda, from Helen Carter, I got to really listen to a woman who was just turning 80 talk
Mm.
about the industry back then. And I mean, I could go on, and I won't, but it, they were elegant. They wore hats. Uh, they didn't, by hats, I mean they dressed.
Hmm.
They had, and I said it, elegance was what they were. And I always felt that way. I
Hmm.
always felt like if you carried yourself the way you were meant to, letting that essence show,
Hmm.
you'd be beautiful till they closed the lid.
Hmm. Yes, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
That is beautiful. I don't know if you can see all of the comments here, but everybody is truly enjoying um, the interview. They said it's amazing. I don't know if you can see it, but they are really, really loving it. We have listeners from all over, from Brazil to London, Europe, England, all over, and they are truly loving this. Um, like I said before, but with creating Ask Naomi Bridging the Gap podcast was really to give not only us that's in the adult industry, a way to be able to show our authentic self, but also to bring other people from different backgrounds and that have different stories to be able to share those stories because you just don't know who we can relate to. You understand what I'm saying? Or who can we
Yes.
can through, through our journey of healing or whatever that we went through, it can resonate with somebody at that moment of time. And even for you, being a madam and being an owner of, of a brothel, your story will speak volumes to other women that's possibly thinking about coming into this industry or whether leaving this industry and giving them another way of, when they leave, to giving them another sense of something to do with their talent. You understand what
Mhm.
I'm saying?
I
You know,
do.
yes, for that, I thank you. I thank you for being courageous, for standing on it. I thank you for being courageous to even go, try to be a sheriff and just, being standing there front, you know, political form with that. And, and trying to change the stigma, of, sex workers in that word prostitution and bringing more of a classier, a more of a classier name and description to it. So because there's are a lot of people out there that, especially women, that this is all that they can do at this moment in time because it is a lot of money to be made in this industry right here. And they have, it's it's hard out here. It's hard out here, but it's giving them a way to be independent, to where they're not, in any danger anyway. And I commend you for that. Like I said, I don't know of any women that was doing this. So when he came to me and I said, "Oh my God, I would love that," that is beautiful. And I thank you for coming to share your story on this platform. So it's
Thank
yeah.
you. Thanks for having me. And Naomi, I, I've been I've been on a really incredible path, and I do believe that we come here to reveal what we really are.
Mhm.
And the more I get to talk about it, the more that we haven't even talked about yet comes
Mhm.
out in
Mhm.
even additional podcasts. And I'm saying anyone that wants me to carry on with this, I'm willing. And
Mm.
that way, whether I do, a sequel with you or whatever it is, I mean, we have just
Definitely.
barely touched on this.
Yes.
We haven't even gotten into criminalization and legalization and partial decriminalization. It's like, and that's a mess. But
Yeah.
it's like there's all this wonderful stuff associated with just the name
Yeah.
that is just ready to evolve. And where, and I'm going to add this, please, where
Mhm.
Mr. Hoff, God rest his soul, he called himself Nevada's pimp. Okay. And to
Mhm.
me, I'm gonna use the word the shadow. I felt like it kept everything that we're talking about in the shadow, kind of
Mhm.
dark, kind of tainted. Well,
Mhm.
I'm the American madam, and I'm in the light, and I'm saying there's room for all of it because
Mm.
it's the only reason we're here.
Mhm.
We've
Mm.
just got to do it safely, and we don't need to stuff it down anybody's throat. We just get to keep casting the net wider so that people can learn more about their sexuality, their sensuality, and to
Mm.
stop being so afraid of it.
Mhm. Mm. Mm. Why, thank you. But we do have one more caller. He's been on the
Okay.
line right now. Yes, we're going to take this caller. Um, Joseph.
Hello there, Naomi. Welcome back.
Why, thank you. How are you? Are you enjoying the show, Joseph?
Yes.
Hmm.
Before you sign off, my question to both you and Madam Bella Cummins, it's basically two. One concerning her escort, the escort service.
Hmm.
Uh, has there been any situation that the people they're hooking up might be one of those dangerous Jack the Ripper wannabes that you might want to think of? Maybe it's not wise to hook them up with these people that might want to end up killing or committing murder on the escort women.
Okay, so you're
So
saying,
Joe, yeah, so Joe, our escort service stays basically inside the building. If there really is what I call an outdate part
Sure.
of the escort service, we we know exactly where they're going.
Want to make
They
sure
call in. They
that
call in every hour. Yeah.
escort
Okay. We have their.
the victim of a murder.
mm,
Or
okay,
that's
so
all.
right. So let's say this because I think those are more with independent escorts from there that you're asking about. And what she's saying that she's more in-house. That's what the brothel is, more of a brick and mortar, type of thing. And then she said, I guess they go through all of those things and they know exactly if they do an out call, they know exactly where they are at, at that moment. You understand what I'm saying? Um, Now I know you're speaking on what was happening probably about 2 weeks ago that was exposed about the man that was supposed to be I think he was like an accountant or something like that, and he unalived. We're gonna say unalived. We're not gonna say that word. We're gonna say he unalived quite a few of the escorts that were doing private escorting individually from that. For her, that's not the case. She more has it to where they come inside, and I believe through the question that I asked about the safety, she says that usually when they come into her place of business, they know that it's a business at that moment, and so there is no thing that's happening that will make harm onto any of the ladies. If that answers your.
Correct.
Hmm.
And my last question for tonight, and sorry if I had to bring this up, but, crazy former show host uh, mentioned it. A fellow by the name of Morton Downey Jr. He asked some porn star whether or not if all the porn, 90% or 100% of the porn industry is controlled by the mafia. I don't know why he would ask that, because I only thought the mafia were involved in the prostitution ring along with the racketeering, gambling, and other criminal activities in the past.
Well, Joseph, you are a Debbie Downer today. Well, no. For me, that I've been in the industry for quite some time, and no, there is no mob connection to me, and maybe I will be the 10% that isn't. But no, I haven't heard of any of that going on like that. No. Um, Now, if it's something that somebody else is doing, that's them. But for me, I haven't heard of that. Um, no, no, no.
Okay,
Thought
thank you,
I
Joe.
asked. There's
Thank you,
no
Joe.
problem. You all have a good night. I
Uh,
just thought I asked.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Joe was a Debbie Downer today.
Oh,
We haven't even moved into unalive and everything, Joe.
but we were having fun too. Oh,
Oh my goodness. Woo! I had to come up from that one. That was the like, wow. Ooh.
you might need to
Well,
ask another question.
yes. Well, actually, we do have a few. We have a few more people, right?
Just one more, yeah.
We just gonna take one more.
Yep.
Okay. Good. Nefertiti. Am I saying it right?
Yeah.
Hello.
Are you there? Hold on.
Hello.
Okay, they mute themselves. So that'll be it.
Okay. What's this one down here? One more.
Nope, that's it.
Okay. All right. Well, that is it. That is all the questions that I have for you right now, and we're gonna do a part two of this. I'm gonna have to bring you back, and I would love to do it after I'm gonna try to come there to visit. I think that's like a 3 hour ride, a 4 hour, was it
About
four?
4 5 hour
A
ride,
four
yeah.
hour ride because I'm in
Well,
yeah,
Las
I'm in Las
Vegas.
Vegas. Yeah, I'm in Las Vegas.
Oh, it's
So
about, well, look, you're going to come straight up 93, and I'm
mhm,
going to say it's probably five because you're going to
five.
stop. Yeah,
Okay.
you're going to stop, but you should. That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah, I
Yeah.
would love. Yeah. So the last thing that Bella, Miss Madam Bella wants to say, would be your last word to say, just to close it out?
Anyone looking for a sneak peek at the courtesans that work with me, they need to go to bellas.us. All right. There's a little question, frequently asked question tab. There's a lot of fun stuff there. They can email, I can answer questions, but it's always worth coming to see and asking questions in person. And it isn't like anything anybody's ever experienced before. So there's no point in imagining what somebody might think it's like. Wrong. It's an in-person um, experience. And I've really had a good time. I'm thanking all of your, all the viewers and subscribers that you have. And I do, I have the best time talking about this because it's misunderstood. And I am thrilled that you were willing to have me on. And you
Yes,
guys should do part two, you
yes,
know?
we're doing a part two.
Yeah, I don't even know if we got our toe in the tub.
No, it's because I have a lot of questions here. I do, but I knew we didn't have enough time to do them because I know you have so many stories to share, so many experiences to share, and so much logic to share just on it, completely from the business aspect as well as just from the just being of a person aspect of it. And that's something that I would truly love to bring you back, to do another show. And we can particularly talk about that. But we really needed to find out, well, who was Miss Bella first.
She's a lot of fun. So, yeah, anytime. And, I don't know if you know any other podcasters that just might be on our same page.
Okay.
I'm available, but you're fun, and I'd be
Oh,
happy. There's many, many parts as you'd like. We can go
thank you.
big. We should go
Thank
big.
you. Thank you. We're going to go big. Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you again. You have a great weekend, and we will be talking soon.
Thank you, Naomi.
All
You're
right.
beautiful.
Thank you. Bye now.
Okay.
All right, guys. It's your girl, the goddess Naomi Banks here on Ask Naomi Bridging the Gap podcast. I want to thank you all so much for coming out to the interview. I know I missed last week, but I was just so tired from the falling in love with self course.
Yeah, wonderful.
That was a 3 day course that we had. We got a course coming up in October, and I'll be telling you about it in the near future. But next week's guest, Yes, next week's guest is going to be amazing. I'm bringing a very gifted spiritual medium. Yes, I said it. A medium is coming next week. He's going to join us right here, and I just cannot wait. I cannot wait. His name is Clairvoyant Chris, and so he would give you all the ins and outs of it all. But I enjoyed this. If you guys have any questions or any concerns, please email me at info@axnaomi.com. And as Miss Madam Bella said, guys, if you really wanted to figure out, know about what she does and how it is, go to her website. Was it Belly Hacienda?
Yeah.
.us?
Mm-hmm.
.us and check it out. I checked out. She got a few cuties on there too.
Mm.
A few cuties on there as well. Then you guys know what I always say: be good to one another and yourselves, and what? Always keep it sexy. I see y'all next week.
Hey, it's the goddess Naomi Banks, and I hope you enjoyed that last episode of Ask Naomi Bridging the Gap. And if you did, please like, subscribe, press that notification button, as well as comment. I'll see you next week. Keep it sexy.
Ask Naomi Bridging the Gap. This is where we talk about love, sex, relationships, cultural differences, and so much more.